Welcome back to the Thursdays Are the Best Days podcast, episode 273. 27 minus.
2 plus 3 is 5, and 5 plus 2 is 7.
If you take 3 away from 7, you have 4. And 4 is just two twos all ganged up with each other.
It is. You're right.
Crazy. So, damn, we're back again. Here again.
Back at it again.
Wednesday's doing its job into turning a Tuesday into a Thursday.
Like it always does.
Every week so far. Well, I want to say every week. I don't know how calendars worked before the calendar we have now. So maybe there wasn't. I don't know if there was always 7-day-a-week calendars. Saw some YouTube short where that guy, the astrophysicist guy, can't think of his name. No. Neil.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yes. He's like, oh damn, I still use AD or BC and AD. He's like, I gotta give it to those Jesuit priests. I'm not gonna ditch the calendar because I don't believe in the religion, but damn, they made a good calendar. Apparently, it's been the most accurate calendar ever created.
I think they did a good job.
Other than the whole the month naming thing, but I don't know if that was them. Like October being the 10th month doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that we used the right system. I think that we got the order of the date wrong. I'm surprised that that's where this got caught up and people can't, like, be in unison about that. Like, no, I want to order the fucking calendar differently. When you write a date, I want it to be different.
I can understand why Europeans think their date is right, but it's not.
Give me a reason why.
Because if you were going to say it, it is August 8th, or it's August 16th, 2023, not 16th August, 2023.
It's the 16th of August.
August 16th.
What are you in right now? Do you think you're in a day or a month? When you, in common conversation, what's the first thing you're going to ask for?
What's today's date? Yeah.
What day is it? Not, oh, what month is it?
No, I want the full date. I think about it in terms of month. I think of what month am I in.
That's the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah, it depends on how I feel about that time of the year. It's August. Okay. It's hot. It's almost fall time. I know I'm gonna have to listen to these fuckers talk about football for the next 5 months. I know. Dude, that transition.
I can't believe the first day we were watching the first preseason games. The fuck, man.
Bro. It's fine for like the first 3 weeks.
No, it's not.
It's insufferable. As long as they have a good season. The last thing I need is them to have a bad season and have to hear the woe is me speech all year.
No, Fee just won't talk.
Well, no, they'll all try to bait Fee into talking.
Yeah, true.
Because he'll come in on a Sunday and be like, I don't want to talk about it. I'm not acknowledging anything. I'm not talking. Then someone will say something to Fee, and then Fee will get upset, and then we have to deal with it. And
yeah. Hey, you ever put something off for an unreasonably long amount of time?
Oh, yeah.
For no reason?
Currently in the process of putting a lot. Currently in the process of.
So, I did one of those things today.
You put in the pipe?
Fuck no.
Okay.
Welcome to the basement.
Oh, God. Oh, the server.
Yeah.
It only took the second server. It only took the whole life of the original server and the initial life of the second server to finally move the idea of the.
You want to know what did it? This one's louder. That's the problem.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah.
Very much so.
Well, it's both louder and more annoying because it's higher pitched. We went from, I think it's a 2U it might. Is it
Oh
only
yeah, we went
two?
from a 2U to a
Down
1U.
to a one, and those fans just scream for
Yeah.
whatever reason. So
Well,
I
you can
made
probably.
cables like 2 months ago and ran cables, and then just never did it.
I
So
assume they were. I assume I know the small ones are like 40 mil fans, so I assume a 2U rack has 80 mil fans,
yeah,
or
no,
it's like one of
like
those things.
the the 2U fans looked like real fans. These
Yeah.
things look like jet engines on this server. They're like cubes, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean like temperatures are better down there. It's cool down there. It's
Man,
not it's not loud anymore.
it's
So
mostly because I work out down there. But I always wish my basement was a little like working out in my basement in the winter time is like amazing. Working out in my basement in the summer is not bad, but there's no like fresh moving air, and it's like
yeah,
it's not hot by any means. Don't get me wrong, it's not hot, but it's not as cool as I like working out in.
fair. I think it's 71 degrees in my basement and it's like 76 in the house. So like it's a few degrees colder. At least that's what my
Okay.
thermometers say. I think they might be off a little bit too. So I don't know. But yeah, you know, I looked up the dimensions because I was talking with Eric earlier. A 1U server, it's 1 and 3/4 inches high.
Okay.
It's like 19 inches wide, I think, if I'm remembering correctly.
It sounds about right.
And it's like this one is 27 inches long, so a little bit over 2 feet long, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It looks like something that I could pick up, tuck under my arm, and just walk with. That motherfucker is heavy.
It is a
It
dense
is
boy.
dense, like
Yeah.
really dense.
Yeah. Guess who was fucking carrying them out
No,
got
I
out of
know,
the.
I know. But like, so it's up on a shelf
Yeah.
above my workbench in the basement. Okay, so workbench shelf, and I've got like 10-foot basement ceilings. They're pretty high. The shelf is like a foot down from the ceiling, so it's like 9 feet up.
Okay.
So I set the server on the workbench. Workbench is, normal, like high table standing height.
Yeah.
And the shelf is the same dimensions as the workbench. So it's full length out. Bro, this was like I had to pull some gymnastic maneuvers to get that thing up there. I ended up standing on the workbench, looking out, and did a full overhead raise above my head, flipping it over to put it on the shelf.
Jesus Christ. What?
It was. We
I
had to
don't.
do some maneuvering.
Bro, I didn't think it was that heavy.
No, but I can't stand up fully on the workbench. So it's like, how do I.
Gotcha.
It was a balance issue, is what it was, to be honest.
Gotcha. Um.
I made cables, never tested them, plugged them in, worked great. So that was a highlight of that. Two
That was.
cables.
Yeah. I cabled here. I fucked up the one cable and I got really pissed off at myself. But thankfully, it was on the easy end.
Yeah, it's just like I have some pretty good confidence in myself, but also it's 8 fucking wires going into something that should fit 4 wires. So it's
Yes.
easy to mess up.
Now if you use easy caps.
And I don't have those. So
Bro, I'm so good at easy caps.
they sound great. And I should have them. But also, I've got like 80 of these things and just don't feel like buying new ones.
Yeah.
And I managed to make it work again and again. And the last couple times I've done it, it didn't take me that long. So
No,
is
that's
it
good.
worth like $30 to buy an easy cap crimper and easy caps? Probably not.
Now, hear me out. We
Patch panel you
hire.
could convince me on though, probably.
Yeah.
Like
Some patch panels are dumb.
I'm talking like let's get a rack, throw it in the basement. and patch everything in.
Okay, so have you ever seen pass-through patch panels?
I think so.
The ones that are
Let me do a
um
quick Google.
I got a picture already. I'm posting it. That did not post the way I wanted it to. Did I do not cop?
It's
I think I
okay.
did
Let me
cop.
just nuke the VM by clicking this link. Oh, it's a patch panel, but it's not. It's just, it has an end. You just plug it in.
Yeah, you patch both sides through. I don't know why, but it is sometimes it is like don't ask me what the use case is or why people do it or like what the idea is behind
It,
it.
I can tell you.
But what is it?
Cable failure. Like, if you need to change the routing of something. So, like, or maybe not cable failure so much as like if you were moving shit around a lot and have pre-run wires with ends, I can understand it. And you still want the ability for the patch panel to be the
Oh, I
patch
guess in
panel and
like
like change routing of, like, let's say you had ports designated to VLANs and wanted to change from one VLAN to the other. Instead of your patch wire running from one to the other, you could change it still because that's the in essence of a patch panel and labeling. I don't know.
I could see it only in like a mobile environment, like where you have to unset up and reset up. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. They're dumb in my opinion.
Also,
But
like, it's probably a lot easier to label this stuff. Like to have a place to be able to label where all these wires go that isn't a tag wrapped around a wire
yeah, you
and
leave it
plug it
on
into a switch.
the front of the fucking panel.
Well, are you gonna label the switch now instead of the patch panel? If you
Uh,
don't have a, are you saying you're not saying to eliminate the patch panel? You're saying to eliminate this stupid pass through thing. I can understand that. Just cut the fucking ends off and patch it.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't know. We're gearing up, fresh network install in a new building at work, and
Ooh, fancy.
doing everything the new fun proper way of patch panel switch.
Yeah.
I know it's like the new hot way to do your networking closets, but it's just unrealistic to refab any like existing.
As opposed to what are you saying?
Old the old style was you had all your patch panels up top. So let's say you have a
Oh,
patch panel
okay.
is like 24 ports across. You might have like four four patch panels deep, and then you bring everything down to like all your switches. Now the new thing is you have like 24 patch panels, for a 48 port switch, 24 patch panels, so that you just do short
Yeah, no,
runs,
I
and
like
you
that.
that's like
That I would
um
much rather have that. I feel like that's how, if I was like, I don't have a ton of network closet knowledge, right?
yeah.
If I were to lay it out, and I would lay it out before I just started shoving shit in, I think that I would be on that kind of realm instead of
Yeah.
putting all the
It's
patch
just
panels together. Just
it's
to
not
have
how the
space.
um yeah, the idea was you had all your the idea was I guess in the past I
All the
think you
cables
would
come to the same spot. I
well
understand
you
that.
did all your patches and then you could design whatever you want beneath it, but your
Yeah.
patches stayed the same. This kind of shoehorns you into your design. There was a reason it was popular. Now people pivoted because they want cleaner patch. They want just the short thing, so it's all cleaner and easier to manage. Um,
Fair enough.
also doesn't make sense if it also is so you have to accept the philosophy that almost it's a more switch. I guess you won't use it in a situation where you don't have the money for enough switches for all your ports because
Yeah.
it's a design that thrives on the idea that all your
It's a
patches
planning
well, all your patches are
focused.
making live, which is almost the idea against why you would a patch panel exists is because you have more patches than you technically need, and you
Yeah.
because it's cheap to run a cable when you're running a bunch, and then you just route them to a switch when you are. This is like kind of the idea that you're patching everything in, which is, you know, at work we have probably 2/3 of our ports maybe used, maybe a third not, maybe a little bit closer to half at times. But
Yeah.
in that case where you have a bunch of empty switch space, because you're not gonna like, if every panel is half full, then you're wasting a bunch. But it's all relative, and like in this new building, we just want every port live, because if we're not there, it's hard to talk someone through something like that. So it's just like, I'll
Yeah.
plug it in, it should be good. Got a whole fuck ton of cameras I have to figure out.
Speaking of plugging things in and making them work, um, so you know how the server's running Proxmox, right?
Yeah.
So their mobile app for my phone, it has the ability to go into VMs with no VNC, which is just a remote software basically.
Okay.
But it doesn't work unless you have a secured website, right?
Yeah. That makes sense. So Bruno's in the SSL.
So I got a certificate going, right?
From where?
Let's Encrypt,
Gotcha.
I think.
Good. We use them. They're a good company. Uh, Sometimes you can set them up to auto renew.
It was good for like 20 years or something. Some
Oh damn, you got a fan. Okay.
It was free. I don't know. I just
Oh,
kept
okay.
clicking shit.
Sometimes depending on what they're for, they like only last like so many, like 90 days. Like you have to renew
Oh
them
no
a
no
bunch.
no. This was meant I think it was like 20, 35, 45, something like that.
That's a little ridiculous, but okay.
So to do that, I had to use Cloudflare as a DNS resolver for the domain, right?
Where do you buy your domain?
But
What do you buy the domain? Oh, I guess Google. You still buy them from Google?
I had it in Google, yeah.
I thought.
So
I mean, I know Google's banning them, but I thought you could still resolve all that stuff through DNS on Google.
right, what Google is like, I'm gonna be honest, I think it's terrible for everything.
Gotcha.
Like, it was just I didn't know where to put shit. It didn't make sense. I didn't know where like I think Proxmox and Google don't play nice.
Gotcha.
I think that's what it comes down to. So I was using Cloudflare and I had to switch the DNS resolving for the domain to Cloudflare. So I exported all of the settings from Google, imported them to Cloudflare, and I got my certificate working after I manually put in a DNS record in my DNS server, my Pi-hole, to
Yep.
redirect the domain to the local address. I don't care about this working anywhere else. I just want it to work on my local Wi-Fi
Hmm.
because I don't want to open the terminal for Proxmox onto the internet. I just don't
Yeah.
feel like it. So I went through all this and then found out I broke everything else. But I got it
Yeah.
working.
Kind of how it happens when you fuck with DNS.
Yeah, it was just royally broken. So I put the DNS back on Google, but my certificate still works. So we're good.
I think it. I. I don't know enough. I
Neither
should
do
know
I.
more, but I don't know enough. I think the idea is that you just have to. I don't think you have to. Probably your level of cert you got, especially one that lasts for so long. I doubt you have to constantly prove, or maybe after so long you'll notice it breaks. I doubt you
Yeah,
almost have to constantly prove you own the domain. I think they just needed to typically it's just like you put a record in there, they check if it's there, and then they
yeah,
say, "Oh, it's there. You own the domain." That's the whole point of the record. It's just they
yeah,
because um you can resolve any name and look at all and look at any record on a domain. That's like half the point. That's why they're there. It's just for like information about domains. Um, Text records. If I showed you my work one, we have a shit ton for different mail servers need different things. It proves a bunch of stuff. That's where your DKIM and DKIM, SFP. Those fucking those three the three big boys. That's where all that shit exists. Is it SFP, DKIM? Yeah, SFP and DKIM, and then DMARC is just like how they all exist.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I don't know why it's working because it's not working in Chrome anymore. No clue.
Yeah.
But like, and also the weirdest part to me is I can get into the mobile app and control all of my containers and VMs and shit. I just couldn't remotely connect to them.
Huh.
And I could on the PC without it. Like in a web browser. I could even on my phone in a web browser without it. It just was the shittiest way of doing it. I don't know. Either way, it's working for now. If it breaks again, who knows what I'll do. But
Well, you're when you end up, I forget who's taking over Google domains.
oh, are they getting shoved out?
Yeah, they're shutting down Google domains.
Surprise, surprise. Who would ever thought?
Not GoDaddy. I'm trying to think. They announced who it was. Um, trying to search who.
Squarespace. Oh God.
Yep.
Yeah, I might.
Check out Hover. It's not a bad one.
I might
And
just
they're
shove it to what's it called in the Cloudflare. I don't know. I'll see.
that, or again, Hover is a pretty cool one. It's
Okay.
easy and it has good features.
Yeah, I don't know. Who would have ever thought of Google shutting down one of its products? Not me.
Man, never happens. Um, yeah, DKIM SFE. That's all that exists. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
it was like really broken. I don't know if it's because I use weird records to try and redirect IP addresses and shit. I don't know
maybe
what it was, but shit was broken.
you can. I don't know if you could with yours, but you can get like wildcard certs. So like, you know how you do all your sub like domain
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
You can get like a star.ttbd.rocks, and then that can cover all your like subdomains. So like, not that you need it, but that's just like a thing
yeah.
you can do. You can get one. You can get one cert that covers every like weird subdomain you would ever want, and
Hmm.
then people use, and it's helpful.
This is the first time I've actually ever needed one,
Yeah, it's all gonna be more
but
common.
yeah, maybe when this breaks, I'll look into it better.
I think things are gonna change. I think it's gonna get easier as time goes on, and it's more needed and more like it's. I feel like one day it's gonna be a lot more streamlined than it is now. Like
Yeah.
you're not gonna have to worry about putting
It,
your like.
honestly, it wasn't too bad. It's just the fact that it broke everything else. That was the problem.
Yeah,
It didn't
I just
take me that long, but it was like a lot of shit that I didn't understand that I was going through. Is a
no,
big
I
part.
just I like I feel like at some point there's gonna be like a one like an X provider and X cert giver is just gonna have a one click button, be like get my SSL cert, and that'll be like they automatically put a record in your DNS, and they'll tell the thing like, "Hey, check this guy out. He owns it." They'll be like, "That's sure, that's fine."
Yeah.
Then you get a cert, and like, I feel like it's gonna be a lot more automated in the future.
Yeah. That's fair.
It's not bad, but it is a more of a clunky It is a pseudo clunky process at the moment, but
Yeah.
it's a lot of reactionary stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, uh, so okay, so that was yes, man. Your posts were confusing. I had SSL costume and then like uh some sort of burrito.
Okay,
It's just a wild
so
week.
it is a wild week. The costume and the burrito are together. Okay,
Oh, okay.
so there was an auction. All right,
What'd you buy?
I didn't buy it. Somebody bought a donair costume, which is this burrito looking thing,
A
right?
donor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some a, a donair and poutine chain bought this costume.
Yes.
A good amount of money, like thousands of dollars. I think like $16,000 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You want to know who was bidding on this?
Uh, is it someone I know
Yeah,
in real life or on as an internet personality?
internet personality.
Probably Canadian.
Fair, fair assumption.
Is it Steve?
It is Steve.
Why was he bidding on this?
Steve was bidding on this in an attempt to raise. He wants to raise charity money to give to food banks. I think is the story that I was reading. Interestingly enough, this place that did buy it was like, "Hey, Steve, we're all for that. If you want to do something fun together and raise some money for some charities." So we might eventually, we won't, probably won't see him camping in it, but eventually we might see Steve in this costume. I thought that
Um,
was a really crazy thing I saw one day. Just that, like, that's Steve bidding on some
I wish he was.
crazy.
I wish that was him wearing it. Um, what was it? He is like on our side of the country right now.
Yeah,
Um, uh, oh, what I've been so disappointed the past couple years we haven't got the riverboat, and
I know.
it's the biggest thing I'm devastated about with that man. It's like the only type of
I want to see
it's
more of it. I want to, and they just got finished making this huge ass boat
that they drove
thing
they
with
couldn't barely do
wheels.
because they did it in like the drought season.
Yeah,
Um,
boat was
it's
a
the
great time. I feel like I
it's
want to
the
go watch the boat videos again now.
I think it's like the only adventure I feel like I would enjoy doing. Eric says like, "Oh, do you want to go camping?" And I'm like, "No, it seems awful." However, I would enjoy, I think, like riverboat life for a couple days, like just cruising down a river on a little raft thing, and that you just like park somewhere and go camping.
You know, sure.
I just like then you just pass by sites. You just like
It
sitting
sounds like a
there.
great time, honestly. Yeah.
You know, you're just sitting on a little boat thing. You're just kind of like you're not really trying to do anything. You're not just sitting around nothing. You're kind of like you're just cruising down. At
I,
night, you
I
just pull off and roast some weenies, watch a Netflix doc, and then go to bed.
I think the fact that it's made out of plywood and plastic barrels concerns me slightly.
I remember
But
the whole
overall,
remember the whole metal goddamn porch they had.
I do, and it's getting better, and that's great and all, but like, it's still held up by plastic barrels, and that just, I don't know, man.
Eh, all boats are just big old pockets of air.
I know. Maybe it's fine. Maybe there's nothing to worry about.
There's nothing. It's just pockets of air. They think of it. A plane is just a tube with some wings
You're right, it is. That
that
doesn't,
goes so fast. Gravity's like, whoa, fam.
you know,
Just
I
sit
was
in there.
fine with planes, but maybe I'm not anymore.
I there's nothing more enjoyable than like if you're going to the airport and you're like, oh hey, let me just go watch some planes and you watch these big ass fuckers like just like go really fast and like just levitate up.
That is what they do.
It's the only like it's the only thing in this world that like I can understand the science of, but in actual practical like sense of watching, it just is so magic to me.
Also, like helicopters, I think helicopters terrify me.
I don't like them.
Like, I understand that their maneuverability is crazy, but the cost of that maneuverability is if something goes wrong, instead of floating down, they fall like a rock. And I don't like that.
Yeah. They're I don't like being under the whole like spinning blade thing is what does it for me.
The whole spinning blade stopping is what does it for me.
Well, like you're underneath this thing that's spinning and like will chop your head off.
Yeah.
I so I yeah, I don't know, just like they freak me out.
They
Um
seem very dangerous to me.
what other is there only it's just kind of the two. It's one of those things where
Spaceship.
ah
You want to strap a rocket?
you don't really get to see much. You just kind of feel a lot.
Yeah.
The end, it's like
Jump out of the plane? Parachute?
I don't really know if I'd drive an open. I don't know if I would ever drive like open wheel racing.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna worry about that one too much though.
Don't have to, but like I don't know. Something about driving really fast in my head just being like there kind of freaks me out.
Oh, you mean like open cockpit kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the wind or just the
Well, everything.
accessibility of your head to pavement?
Like yeah, you kind of just feel like I get it. They're like in there, but it doesn't feel like they're in there.
Yeah.
Um, boats scare me when you like the slow boats are fine, but like the fast boats are fast.
Hmm.
Like
Okay.
those boat racing boats, the ones that
Yeah.
just like
No, that's too
those
fast.
the ones that like plane up and like people have
The
died a
ones
lot.
that when like those boats, great, they go really fast. But if something goes wrong and they get like spun sideways or something, they stop really, really quickly
Yeah.
and destroy themselves because they're
Oh
trying to
yeah,
be very light. Like
that's what I'm
it's not
saying. Those
not great.
those are scary.
Yeah.
Um,
You get seasick?
not that I have ever.
Mm.
I
Okay.
it was on the cruise. It was like weird. On the cruise, the place I felt the ship the most was in the shower.
Hmm.
Something about it. I think I had no point of reference to anything really, and I felt like it was very much shaking. Now, like the first day or two, we had some rougher wind. The weather was fine, but the wind was not as agreeable.
Yeah.
So like things were it wasn't like rocking, but like the boat was like it was like weirdly wait, I don't want to say vibrating, like large vibrating where it's
Yeah.
not like mini vibrating where it's like
I
back
think
and
I
forth
understand
really
what you
quick,
mean.
but it was just like when you're driving in your car and like the wind like makes you like do that weird swerving thing where you like
All the time. Yep.
yeah, it was like that where everything was like that. We we had dinner at the front of the boat that one night and it was like everything was like rattling type thing.
There's like I have like an internal flow chart of when I'll get seasick and it's weird.
Oh.
Like you put me on a small boat inland, as small as a kayak, as large as like a 20 something foot center console boat,
Mhm.
as rough as you can possibly make it, I'm fine. You put me on a center console boat on not bad ocean waters, I'm fine. You put me on a larger fishing boat in open waters, it's like a fucking light switch, man, and I get bad seasickness. I don't get it.
I think I had someone explain to me that like they're fine with they can't go on like a cruise ship because of their seasickness, but they can do like a kayak, and it's something to do with like um it was just like scale and like points of reference. It was like
Yeah,
their internal. It's something with like your internal body being able to like. Typically, the bigger you get, you're going to some more like the bigger your boat, you're going to more different areas. It's not like you're riding in the same vessel in every area.
yeah,
So like when you're in a kayak, like you might be fine because your body can point to reference more things and you're able to like mentally handle what's going on versus like a bigger boat where you're going somewhere where there's less points of reference and then you just like freak out internally, mentally, and like
I I completely understand what you're saying, and I'm gonna make it even crazier to you about this flowchart of mine. Okay, Delaware, 42-foot fishing boat out in the ocean,
hmm
calm day on the ocean.
yeah,
Like not in the grand scheme of things on the ocean, not a bad day, right?
yeah.
Terrible seasickness. You turn that boat around and come back to shore, that switch gets flipped off, I'm fine. I can't see the shore, I can't see nothing. You're completely out there, I'm still fine.
Hmm.
You put me in like a 20 something foot center console boat in Florida on the ocean, no points of reference, probably as bad as seas, or probably about as bad of seas, but a smaller boat, I'm fine. I just, I don't understand it. I
I
have
understand.
no reasoning or logic behind it. Also, like kayak, I haven't been in open water on kayak though, so the point of reference thing comes back. But like, I have a sit on top kayak, and I've been in water that was almost flipping me over constantly, anchored, just going with the motions, perfectly fine. Weird. I don't understand it.
Have you ever been whitewater rafting?
Yeah, I
I
have.
want to go. It's one of those things that Madeline's not really sold on, so she like I brought it up and she's not really sold on it, so I never really sell on it. But I want to go.
It's a good time. Um, I think I've been in some pretty serious whitewater rafting actually. I think it was like on a release day, like when
Uh,
they were dumping water out of a dam kind
I
of
want to
day.
go to some of those good places down in like West Virginia.
Okay, I don't know if it was that good. Um,
Like I want to do the like the West Virginia like that. There's that big bridge, and then there's like deep. It's like the iconic.
yeah, I don't think I was at that level. I think I
It's
was doing it in Pennsylvania. Um, but no, it was a good time. It was a good bit of paddling, a lot of water, a lot of good time. Yeah, I would
like
recommend. I had fun.
I think you'll recognize this. It's like I think it's West Virginia. Dude,
I don't know if like that's like the stereotypical bridge or if that's the only one, but
it's not the stereotype. I think it's like
I definitely have seen bridges like that in I want to call them famous pictures of places.
okay. So this article describes that picture, that specific picture, as perhaps the most iconic place in West Virginia. The New River Bridge Gorge is an engineering marvel that solved travel challenges for commuters in both north side of the river. Toward
Okay, so it's probably that bridge. That's
yeah,
probably
like
the bridge. So yeah.
yes. But that gorge, I think, is a very like
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty sure that gorge is a decent like whitewater rafting destination for our area. TM trademark, like probably like really lame because someone else somewhere has a cooler goddamn, you know,
Ah, whatever, man.
we can't have shit, income's fee,
I can tell you we got the biggest paintball place like in the US, not that far away.
Tell you we got the best pretzels.
Jim Thorpe, they got good paintball. Skirmish.
Never did paintball.
No, there's like a whole it's a whole thing, man, up there.
Hmm.
Their claim on the front page of this website is the world's premier paintball facility.
Damn.
So that's a pretty bold claim, and I kind of believe it.
It seems right for our state.
750 acres.
It's a lot of acres.
That is a lot of acres. They do some pretty cool events there too. Like they do a Normandy scenario where it's like thousands of people against each other across the whole
Man,
compound.
who's paintballing in short sleeves?
Hi, that was me.
Why?
Why not? What does a sleeve do?
At least you don't have to like scrub the paint off you.
You're getting paint on you no matter what, bud.
Less so if you're wearing just goddamn sleeves.
But no, it was a really cool place. I've been there a couple times. Expensive. Probably
Wearing fucking short sleeves. Goddamn
still
paintball.
fucking very expensive nowadays, but it was cool. It was good time.
Never been paintballing. No one I knew really ever wanted to do it.
I have some paintball guns.
We were into airsoft, but no one ever like planned a trip to go to a like airsoft field either.
Yeah, I just played like around my house. We'd
I
shoot
assume
each
there's
other with
some.
them.
I assume there would have to be some in Pennsylvania.
I'm sure. But yeah, no, I had like paintball games in my backyard, dude. It was great. I knew some people with them. They'd come over and we just shoot each other with them
Yeah,
in the
they always
backyard.
look.
It was a
They
good
always
time.
looked fun. Just never.
Me and my
Not gonna.
cousin got into airsoft a lot too, and that was the same deal. Like it would just be us out there.
Um. Yeah. I'm kind of glad I didn't get to super. Like there are some people that are super into airsoft. But I never got super into airsoft.
No, me neither.
It was fun. It's
Yeah.
every like. Oh man, we're finally old enough that we're trusted with fake weapons type of age that are not Nerf
And
guns.
you
We
get
can
to
actually.
shoot each other with them.
Yeah, it's like
It's
when you
like,
graduate. It's when Nerf starts getting like you realize how not fun the Nerf blasters are, and you're not smart enough to goddamn PSI pressurize your blaster with like an attachable air tank and like
well, it's like, yeah, exactly. It's Nerf, but you raise the stakes, and you know
you want
when
to have
you
a
get a
Nerf.
hit, it hurts a little bit, and when you hit somebody else, you know that it hurts a little bit, so you want to succeed.
Man, it was always about who. No one ever, none of my friends ever bought one, but we always talked about like the snipers because of their what was were they? Was it rated in like feet per second?
Yeah,
Like that was like the metric. That was like the
yeah,
horsepower. That was like
absolutely, yeah. It was
that was
how
the
hard it
metric.
hurt.
Yeah,
It's how bad it hurt.
and we'd always like we'd be like early days scrolling through the internet of like, oh man, look at that sniper. That was like 1,800 feet per second. That would fucking blast your goddamn arm off. Yeah,
Yeah, but
that was
no,
always
I my weapon of choice, I had a shotgun, but it
those are
wasn't a
always
shotgun. It shot one BB, but
the lamest fucking shotgun.
dude, okay, so this shotgun had no sights on it.
Okay,
Like it was a rail to put a sight on, didn't have a sight on it.
you're just
Okay,
sending slugs.
it's just one little paintball or one little airsoft pellet. I could hit anything with that thing. It was it was target acquisition by feel, but like I'm talking. I remember instances where like we were chilling outside and like we just had them with us because we did this a lot, right?
Mhm.
and like, oh, there's a horsefly on the ground over there, like 8 feet away from me. Pull out this shotgun airsoft gun. No stock, by the way. It was like a pistol grip shotgun.
Mhm.
8 feet away, horsefly on the ground. No sights on the gun. I shoot the horsefly. That has happened probably like 6 times to me. Little fucking horsefly.
Horseflies were nasty.
Yeah. But no, like the ability to intuitively shoot without sights with that thing was crazy to me for me. I don't know what the deal was, but got into good pellets too. You had to get the heavy pellets. They worked better.
I I was I was a softie. I tried to get the biodegradable ones.
I don't think that was big when I was doing this. I don't think that was like even a thing
I
yet.
don't think they were like big, but there was one brand that I could get at Kmart
I had
that
glow
was
in the dark ones. They
I
were cool.
saw. I thought I loved the color ones, but then like I was buying. It was like the age where like I was still like going to the store with my parents sometimes, and they're like,
Yeah.
"We get the biodegradable ones, so they're not just laying a bunch of plastic in the yard." And I'm like, "Well, okay." I don't feel bad about it. I mean, they were in terms of quality, they were like on the shittier end of quality, but I don't feel bad about my impact using them.
Fair.
Probably
You
still
ever
fucking
you ever spill one of them buckets of them things somewhere?
yeah.
I still find them in my garage.
I was gonna say they're probably see. I feel less bad because your property's probably full of those little plastic fuckers.
You know, you're probably not wrong.
Under all those leaves are just like some neon blue and not
No,
neon, but like
I, the weight thing really was a game changer, and they were all white. So
were they all white?
yeah.
Okay, you know the ones I'm talking about, the ones that were like bright,
Oh
like a
no,
bright
I
color.
had a buck. Those are the ones I spilled in the garage. They're bright fucking green and like clear.
Yep.
I could go out there and find one right now. I think there are some in like the stress crack of the
Oh,
concrete.
yeah. I got a bunch of those in my concrete.
It was a 10,000 pellet bucket that got dumped. It's terrible.
Crazy to pivot on the stress crack with the concrete. It's crazy how like when there's some like stress cracks that they filled up with stuff in my basement, and like no one ever said like my realtor or the inspector, no one says anything. And when you Google it, everyone's just like you see a bunch of new homeowners being like, "There's a stress crack," and everyone's like, "Ah, it's fine. That's just concrete.
Well,
That's how you. That's just
I
what concrete does, and then like it
no, it
settles.
does. Yeah.
It's just concrete.
I'm talking actually I used the wrong word. It's actually the saw cut to pre-crack
Oh,
the concrete.
oh, okay. I have the like they didn't do that
Yeah.
concrete like
No,
they
yeah.
poured a slab and now there's a crack
Mhm.
and it's like everyone's just like, yeah, that's fine.
My shed
Great.
has some cracks like that. Like
Yeah.
they saw cut it, but then where they stopped, it finds its own way to wherever it feels like, and I have them.
Concrete doesn't stay in a slab. The
It
minute you
does
pour
fairly well, but yeah, no, it definitely moves.
the
And
minute you the minute you've set your concrete, it it's just like waiting
oh,
game for the
absolutely. And
it's like oh
I can look at those cracks and tell the what season I'm in
yeah.
because they expand and contract that much.
Yep, it's just it's the beauty of it's just funny. People are like out of everything that could be a big deal and it seems like it should be a big deal, everyone's just like, eh.
Yeah. I mean, there are bad cracks. Don't get me wrong.
There are, but like typically the typical ones you see standard are just typical.
Yeah. Like they plan for those cracks, to be honest.
Yeah. When someone sees it, they don't care because it's not probably going to get any worse than it is. It just cracks and then bam. Free
Yeah, yeah,
expansion
yeah.
joint. Free expansion joint.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, airsoft, paintball. Is there anything else? I'm trying to think if there's anything else in that light that related to that Nerf. Never tried to modify my Nerf guns. I don't know if you did.
Mm, no, I don't think so. I don't think I have.
Mm. never. I mean, that was probably like peak YouTube when we probably would have done it. It would probably been like peak YouTube if that's what like YouTube was for.
It was
Like the dude.
pre me being on YouTube, to be honest. I was young as shit.
Um, really? I mean, I
Yeah.
guess 2000. I don't know. I just thought. I guess maybe it'd be later. I just thought maybe when you saw like some dude with like 100 subscribers on YouTube was probably the shit, and he was like, "Watch me put this industrial grade spring in a Nerf gun," and you'd be like, "Oh shit, I can do that."
You know, like when I got it, when did I get an airsoft gun? God, I must have been young. I'm thinking like elementary school. I was running around
Oh,
with an airsoft gun.
okay. I was like
So
middle school.
that was like low 2000s.
Okay, I was thinking like middle school. You would have been like airsoft, not elementary school.
No, I was running around with that shit young.
Okay,
Maybe
never
too
mind.
young.
Yeah, and I was thinking like middle school. I thought you had like Nerf guns
No.
through like elementary. That's still like that's fair.
No, we went to real guns.
Like fifth grader Bruno doesn't need to like hurt. Like, it seems a little. That seems like a middle school friend type thing.
What? Okay, I have a question for you. What is your definition of middle school?
Sixth grade.
Really? Okay.
That was, that was my middle
So
school.
my middle school was seventh and eighth grade.
It's one of those dumb sixth grade as part of elementary.
No, we had an intermediate school.
Oh, you had one of those. You were that dumb.
It was four, five, six, and then three and below.
Did you have like some junior high? It's like eighth and
No,
ninth.
9 through 12 was high school.
So that's how you fucking break it up.
Bro, look, I
No. Elementary for me is kindergarten through fifth. In middle school, you go sixth.
fifth. God
Yeah, that's
dang.
elementary school.
Nah,
Or,
third.
okay.
We also
Crazy.
had two of them in the district, so that was
I had 19.
19 elementary schools.
When I was attending at school, there were 19 elementary schools in my school district.
Jesus Christ. I had two, and that felt like a lot.
19. And they had closed some. They had closed two. There was 21 at the peak of there.
What the? How many fucking kids are there?
There was like 730 before I moved where like Madeline was and where like I went to high school. I think my graduating class was like 700 some.
I think mine
I
was
went
like 300 something.
I so 19 elementary schools of varying size. My elementary school was one of the smaller, poorer ones. One classroom per grade, like 23 students. There were other ones that
Oh,
there were
okay.
other schools that had like multiple classrooms of grades, multiple like,
Okay, no,
we
my elementary school was probably huge to you then.
like mine. It was like end of this. We two trailers, one for fifth grade, one for the library. We didn't have a gym that was in the fucking church across the street. No
Okay.
AC.
I
Um, the
Now
cafeteria
I
was,
understand why you had 19 of them.
but no, there were big ones. There were big ones.
Okay.
So like down the street, maybe like 5 or 6 blocks. Um, I can pull
Five or
it up.
six block. What?
You have 19.
God, okay.
I'm just gonna fucking.
Like, my elementary school is kind of close to me. It's still like 5 miles away from me.
It was close to me.
But then there was another one like towards I'm gonna call it Moton because it's like I'm out in the sticks. If you go to the city that is my township or not township, my school district, that's where all the other shit was, and that was where the
Yeah.
other elementary school was. But I
Mine.
got like my own personal out here elementary school.
Um. So, how am I gonna fucking snipping tool, I guess. Snip. Like, so there were, I I could get you like a goddamn whole map of them all, and it all
I
makes
feel
sense.
like
This is a small like
I got the
story
picture.
of it. So like my elementary school, they eventually closed it because they built some bigger ones, different places, and they reshuffled a bunch of like everything. But when I was a kid and I went to elementary school, the William K. Knitter House
Mm-hmm.
Family YMCA was my elementary school. The high school was right up there. Whatever. I lived like maybe half a mile like south of this ish area, but right up the street. And the other thing was Buchanan Elementary School.
Mm.
Bigger, more teacher. Like it was definitely a bigger school by a lot of the sense. Just by like the Google Map size, you can tell they're just a bigger building. Um, but yes, it was maybe more akin to what your size was. But there were bigger ones than that one. There was, you know, there was 19. There were varying sizes. Mine just happened to be the smaller ones. One of the smaller ones. I think there was a couple other our size as well.
Yeah.
And there were some closer ones because we lived close in town, and there were some ones that were larger areas they like um encompassed just because it was more farm fields and stuff. It was a whole thing. However, it was fifth or kindergarten through fifth, and when I was there, sixth and seventh was the middle school. Then eighth and ninth was junior high, and then 10th through 12th was high school. That was like an OG how things were set up, or that was how like a majority of American schooling was set up, where you had uh, sixth and seventh as middle school, eighth and ninth as junior high, and 10th through 12th is high school technically. That's why like in high school, eighth and ninth graders play football together, and that's JV football because that was junior high football.
Mm. Gotcha.
It-
I
And
see.
that's yeah. Uh, but yes, small elementary school, 19 of them, no AC.
So that's my situation.
Yeah, you
Um,
know.
all of the schools other than my elementary school are basically in that orange circle at the top. And then my elementary school was all the way in the circle at the bottom left. And there's
Yeah.
probably like 10 miles between them. So it was a decent distance to cover. My how long did you go on the bus? Were you a bus person for some of your schooling?
My elementary school, it was so, it was, it was like weird how it was like every, I don't know. I don't know the true politics of it all, but like our school, elementary school, would have had to pay through its like local taxes from its like base of people it could pull from for busing, and it didn't have enough money to do that, and there were so little kids that there was just no busing. Middle school
Fair.
comes along. I lived within a mile of the middle school with a walkable sidewalk path. I was refused busing. They said, "No, we're not."
Oh,
They
they
just
just
said straight up.
refused it. Okay.
They said, "You live close enough, and we can map out a place with sidewalks that you don't. There's no bus route for you. We will not pick you up." So I had to walk to
Interesting.
middle school. My neighbor, I had a neighbor in middle school, and she would pick us up sometimes.
Sure.
But other than that, technically, no, I did not have a bus route available to me to attend. High school comes around. My parents both worked in the same building as I was going to because I had moved at that point. I just rode with them.
So my bus for high school took about 50 minutes for me to get home or get there.
Uh-huh.
A long fucking time.
Yeah, I believe it.
Like it always felt like I was the last or the first person on the goddamn bus.
Typically, if that's typically how it would work. If I would assume you would be picked up first in the morning and dropped off last in the evening,
which felt so
or off.
dumb. But yeah,
Maybe
no,
I
I
think that's how it
understand,
works.
and it was annoying.
Because
Actually, no, I was I'm wrong. I was like the last off, but I was also like the last on. Now that I think about it,
okay,
it didn't take nearly as long to get to school as it did to get off from school.
okay,
But it
you
was
can.
like fucking 4 o'clock by the time I got home half the time.
It's a different philosophy. Technically, like if you think about it in the morning, all the bus driver has to do is start the whole way back and
Yeah,
then
no,
work their way close. That tends to be more efficient. And then in the evening, it's start the closest drop and then work your way out and then just like leave.
yeah.
But
On it,
in some people's sense, it makes sense to start close and then work your way out and then just drive straight in. But it's just less efficient that way. Probably for,
my bus felt like it was, and I know it was. It's because I'm like a quarter mile from a different school district.
hmm
Um, so my bus felt like if you drew a circle around the school at the edge of the limit, we were picking up people right along the circle.
yeah,
Like it was just a fucking edge. So there was a
yeah.
long trip to and back, and then just a bunch of fucking people. And
Um,
like it could be a mile between bus stops too.
no,
That's the
yeah.
other thing.
Yep.
We were picking
Uh,
up single people on the side of the road.
where I went to high school, our school district was like top 5 in the state for largest school districts in square miles.
Okay, that's a lot.
So we did have a lot of those people with like an hour, sometimes plus bus ride because
Yeah,
we, but it wasn't, I mean, obviously it wasn't big. We had 180 some graduating class, but it was just like such a it like geographically made sense. But all those outer people they might live like 15 minutes plus from our they were way closer to the other schools in times of like ridiculous mileages and time like
yeah,
things, but it's just because they had to draw a big circle somewhere. Our
yeah.
big circle
No,
was put people towards the edge.
I think I'm closer to the other school district than the one I went to. So
Yeah,
it's just
I was
how the
I
line was
always
drawn.
lived close, to be honest with you, to my schools. Like I was
I did
always
not
there was
at all.
like I Madeline didn't. She'd have to go up a fucking. She'd have maybe like a 25 minute drive home. 20, 20, 20-ish.
Yeah, I think mine was
Uh,
like 15ish. Like if I could get out of the parking lot, it was like a 15-minute drive home.
High school, my drive home was a mile in a literal sense, like a mile ish, like a mile half at most. And it took me 5 minutes. It took Madeline like 20 minutes. But like I could be to and from school like instant, no
Yeah,
real, like in the morning when I was driving in the morning, I would turn on my car, drive to school, and my heater would not even be warm yet.
yeah, no, that's very different.
We are gonna get a text from the guy that listens, and he lived he lived down the mountain from Madeline.
No,
Best
okay.
like she would pass his house on the way.
Mm-hmm.
Best prank I ever pulled on Madeline. Not really a prank. Best like I don't know what you'll call it. Was I was me and him would always get there like 6:50 6:50ish, I would say.
Okay.
Um then Madeline and her brother would come at like 7:05 ish at the latest. So we'd be sitting there for 10 to 15 minutes in our car, either windows down talking, or if it was cold, I would call him and we'd be talking on the phone right next to each other
Okay.
so we could keep our heaters on in our cars. Sometimes he would come in, but sometimes we'd sit in the car talking. There was a couple days for a week that his dad needed his car because his car was in the shop. So his dad would drop him off and he'd just sit in the parking lot till I got there. Then he'd come sit in my car.
Mm-hmm.
And Madeline would come in like 10, 15 minutes later and be like, "Why is Josh in your car?" and I'd be like, "Oh, I went to go pick him up. He didn't have a ride," even though she could have easily picked up. Like again, passes
Yeah,
his like
no.
driveway
Uh-huh.
every day. She's like, "You didn't come pick me up." I'm like, "Hell no, I'm not gonna come pick you up." So this happened for like a week, and I was just like, "Just go with it. We're not gonna add any more details. We're gonna keep it simple that I just pick you up." So it went and passed. It was months. It didn't happen again until one day he actually needed a ride, and like no one was gonna drop him off, and he had to ask Madeline. He's like, "I need a ride." Be like, "Oh, get Nick to fucking pick you up." Like, he's like, he never picked me up. Never picked me up. It was all a lie. It was all a big scam. But
I
yeah,
so in high school we had like assigned parking spaces that we
we did
all
not.
had. So I was on the opposite end of the parking lot from the guys I hung out with in the morning before I walked into school.
Damn, you didn't buy your parking passes together?
No. Anyways, so I parked there. I'd wait for him to show up, and he'd pull over to where I am, and he had a Jeep Wrangler.
Mm-hmm.
Most of soft top. Most of the time, he never had the top on in the morning, and I would just hang off the side of it on the running board as he drove down to his park, like every morning. I remember doing it all the time.
All the time.
And like on Fridays, we'd usually so where I came from, we passed. It's called the New York Bagelery. Get some breakfast sandwiches in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Pick up a bunch. Eat some breakfast in the morning. It was a great time. Good times.
No, yeah, we didn't. In the morning we get there, get out, and go. We didn't have
Everyone's
assigned parking. We didn't have
oh
assigned parking, so you just kind of picked a spot, and if you park there consistently enough, people wouldn't park there because they like it's one of
yeah.
those like
No, I
unassigned assigned parking.
mm-hmm.
Um,
Every once in a while he would be late though in the morning,
yeah,
and the parking lot's a fucking mess because there's like two entrances, but the buses also go through there, and it's
yeah.
nasty. But he drove a Jeep Wrangler, and I was near the side where it wasn't as much of a mess. So every once in a while, he would hop over the curb, drive down this little hill to where I was, because I was like the quick way to get in and skip like 40,000 people trying to get into the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he ever got yelled at for that. I think he never. I don't think he ever got caught doing that.
Yeah, we always had it's actually my dad now. He does the bus. He's like bus duty, like out there, like stopping teenagers with their first like licensed
Oh,
vehicle
good.
driver. Like, but like when the buses are leaving the parking lot, it uses one of the entrance, like one of the main entrances cars leave. So they like
Mm-hmm.
they stand people in front of like
Yup.
the
It,
thing, so
it
they
was
don't whip
always
out
a rush of if I
beat
don't
the
get out
buses.
now, I gotta wait 20 minutes for these stupid buses to get out of the way.
Yeah. So he's like the one that's stopping and like doing that. I just fucking wait. One, if I did sports, by the time I had to leave, no one was
Yeah,
there.
fair.
And then in the spring when it got warm, all I was used to was not, I was used to getting home like 2 to 2.5 hours later. So we would just stand in the parking lot and talk for 10, 20. Sometimes I think there was on a rare occasion some people would be sitting there for like almost an hour
No,
just
yeah.
talking.
Definitely
So
had
like
those days too. I'm
I
just saying,
never
like, if I wanted to leave, I had to fucking leave.
never had to leave. I never Oh, the other thing was I had my whole like senior year I had early dismissal, so technically I could just leave.
Oh, yeah. I don't think we really did that at all.
Or I had late arrival and I had an internship, but I could like dip out of there a few minutes early if I needed to.
I don't know many people that did that. I don't think it was very easy to do in my school.
It was pretty easy. Like my whole senior year I didn't have to show up. I didn't have a single class first period in my whole senior year.
Hmm.
And then I didn't
Interesting.
have a real class my last period. It was my internship. So I only had 3 periods worth of classes.
So, how many periods was your day?
So 5 periods, but we did
Is lunch included in one of those, or was lunch separate?
a separate. That was like
Okay.
so we did we had the idea of semester long and year long periods. So you had
Okay.
two types of classes. Classes that last for a quarter and a class that lasted for a semester. And then you had two types of periods. So first period was like a 90-minute period. So an hour and a half of the like one period. Periods 2 and 3 are 45-minute periods. And then periods uh 5 and 6. 4 was lunch technically. Um
Yeah.
Periods 5 and 6 were two 90-minute periods. So if you had a semester long class in periods 1, 5, and 6, it was a
Mm-hmm.
semester long. You had it for the first half of the year. Next half of the year, that period was a different subject.
Okay.
If you had a quarter long class in that, it would just be a quarter. Um,
Wow. That's
Now, if you had a
way
quarter
different.
during periods 2 and 3, if you had a quarter long class, it became a semester long class. And if
Hmm.
you had a semester long class in periods 2 and 3, it became a year long class. So you had that class the entire year. So uh, Madeline had banned second period the entire year.
Crazy.
Um, you could have she had I think her sophomore or junior year, she had Spanish third period, so she had Spanish all year round or all year long. I had Spanish like it was like I think it was like it wasn't the first. I think it was like fifth period, second semester. So, and what she learned in that entire class for the whole year, mine was compressed down in half a year for a semester because it was
Oh.
45 minutes. Hers class
Yeah.
was 45 minutes
No,
long. Mine was 90.
I'm following. Mine was
And
just stupid then.
that's how we handled it. It was interesting. Like definitely second half of the year, you had a bunch of new classes and stuff, and you know,
So we didn't do anything halftime. We did everything was the full year.
lame.
We had 9 periods,
Hmm.
and I think they were all like 43 minutes or something, some dumb
Makes
number.
sense.
And lunch was staggered. So there were 3 lunch periods, and you got one of them. It
We
was crazy. I don't know.
every I think every year in high school, our lunch was handled a different way. Maybe
Hmm.
minus the first 2 years was maybe the same. My first 2 years was I think it was the first 2 years for sure, and I'll probably get corrected. It used to work where you had days. It was like day 1 through like 6 or something like that.
Oh yeah, ours was on some stupid 6 day cycle of bullshit.
Okay, so I had 6 periods, right? So on day 1, so let's say you start the school year on a Monday, and it was day 1. Day 1 was you go to your first period class. We had two lunch periods, A and B. So you
Hmm.
would ask your teacher, "Hey, what lunch do we eat?" That teacher on day 1 eats a lunch. So on day 1 with that period 1 teacher, you would when it was lunch, fourth period, aka lunch, for the first half of fourth period, a lunch, you'd go eat lunch. When your lunch was over, you would then go to the period 1 classroom and spend what was B lunch with that teacher in their classroom, either doing more work, just a study break, um,
Mm,
whatever. Day 2, you go to it would be second, maybe they eat B lunch.
I
So the
see.
first half, you go to you back to second period. You do that on day 4, which isn't a period because that's lunch. That was club day. So then your club would eat A lunch and meet B lunch, or do that.
Okay. Yeah.
And then junior year we had dog time, dog time, which was
What's
an hour. Yeah, it was like an hour lunch. You just you got lunch for an hour. You could sit in the cafeteria for an hour. You could go to classrooms, the library, whatever.
yeah.
You got to choose your hour of what happens. Um, and then honestly, I think that lasted for a semester. Then they changed it up, or it might have been the whole year. I cannot remember. But then it turned into, instead of it being based on the day, you would sign up for a teacher and then eat whatever like lunch and meet and go to that teacher's
Okay.
classroom to do whatever.
Yeah.
And teachers could request kids. So if your
Okay.
like second period teacher needs to meet with you, they would like request you, and then you would eat
Oh.
either
Okay.
baby lunch and you come to there. Me and uh, Josh would always request. Neither of them had him as a teacher at the time, other than maybe one or two. I had him for one, but I don't think we didn't. He wasn't really like the teacher we needed to be with or ever had to go to, but he always
Yeah.
ate lunch. So we would just request him sit in his classroom. We'd go to lunch, then after lunch we'd go sit in his classroom for half an hour.
Yeah.
So those are our three. That's how lunch worked for us.
You made me remember how stupid my schedule was. So we had half courses, right? But it wasn't
Mhm.
half the length of the year, it was half of the days of the year. So with that, you can't have an odd numbered schedule.
Right.
So you can't go off of a week, right?
Mhm.
So our cycle was a 6 day cycle. So like all of the major classes we had every day of the year, right?
Mhm.
But like if you took electives or something, it might be every other day, or I think some classes were 2 days a week or 2 days a 6 day cycle. So it was always like, today's I don't day one, and you would be like, where the fuck do I go again? Trying to memorize this stupid cycle of classes that you were supposed to be going to. It was it was dumb, is what it was.
I think my thing was dumb, but it was definitely like followable.
Yeah, it sounds it. Mine didn't. It took me half the year to remember where the fuck I was supposed to be going.
Eh.
Dumb.
Yeah, ours was just you had to remember your five. You had to remember what you just had to remember what teacher had what lunch, and typically that teacher would always have the same lunch, no
Yeah.
matter like what like.
No, I didn't have a problem with lunch. It was always the same spot every day for me, but there were three of them, and you either got to eat really early, about the right time, or pretty late, and
Our
that
big
was
thing
the
was like
options.
it was always the big thing of like figuring out what days who ate what lunch and who you got to sit with on those days.
Oh yeah, ours was always the same people every time.
Yeah, see, so like I could on a Monday, there were like some days I could eat with Madeline, some days I wouldn't because we didn't have lunch together, and like stupid stuff like that. And then it was just like
Yeah,
every time, semester change, you had all new classes, and then you'd have to figure out like, oh, on this day, who are the group of people I sit with because I don't know anyone.
yeah. No, I didn't have that. There's a lot of other
Yeah,
fucky stuff though, but not that.
well, we're at a good time
Because that's all we have for this week's
for
episode.
this week's episode of Thursdays Are the Best Days podcast. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.
See you later.